Hi, my name is Dr. Tom Rofrano from the Natural Medicine Clinic in Palm Beach Gardens, Florida. And today I'm going to talk to you about parasites, namely one called Blastocystis hominis, and how it can be causing your IBS symptoms, skin issues, thyroid, autoimmune, and all kinds of other things. So, first of all, I'm seeing so many patients these days with digestive issues. I've been practicing over 30 years, and I've seen over 100,000 patients, and most come in with fatigue, aches and pain, brain fog, anxiety, depression, digestive issues. The one thing that almost all our patients have in common is they have a lot of gut issues. So we do a lot of stool testing and other blood testing. And lately we've been coming back with more and more patients with parasites, especially Blastocystis hominis, which is the most common parasite in the United States. And this can cause a lot of gut issues, diarrhea, constipation, bloating, gas, abdominal pain, cramps. And it can also cause hives, rashes, and it can affect your thyroid. So when you're fighting off, say, a parasite like this, it ramps up your immune system and it can induce autoimmune conditions such as Hashimoto's thyroid condition, which then in turn is the most common cause of nodules. So it's interesting to see how something like a parasite can affect something like your thyroid and even cause nodules. So we're going to go over that, how you find out if you have this parasite or any other one, and then how you treat it. So this is something that actually I dealt with some years ago. So about 15 years ago, I found out, well, at the time I was having, for many years, a lot of gut issues, IBS symptoms, abdominal pain, cramps, gas, bloating, indigestion, fatigue as well, aches and pains. Also, I found out I had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, elevated thyroid antibodies, along with elevated rheumatoid arthritis antibodies. So I was feeling pretty miserable. I found out I had a gluten sensitivity, started going gluten-free, and that didn't really help too much. So, and the reason was, well, I was eating non-gluten grains, like a lot of rice, and gluten-free products like gluten-free cookies and gluten-free bread and gluten-free pasta and all that stuff. So come to find out, after I did a stool test on myself, I found out I had not only yeast overgrowth and dysbiosis bacterial overgrowth, but also a parasite called Blastocystis hominis. And at the time, I hadn't heard of that, so I was doing a lot of research about it. This was going back like before we even had computers in our houses, like 1993. So I was finding out how to get rid of it. So there was, all these natural compounds I could use, and there was some prescription drugs as well. So I delved into like the different herbs and the different things that people recommended. I remember this one product that was supposed to be the best for blasto, and it was this purple liquid herbal remedy that had gentian, which is this purple colored compound. So anyway, I would use this day after day, after week, after week, after a month, and I remember like spilling it, like getting a drop on my white countertop, staining that on my clothes. It was just a big mess, and I kept getting repeated stool tests after so many months. Actually, these are all, I've gotten over 20 stool tests over the years. And, they would send you, at the time, the lab, they would send you a nice picture of, if you had a parasite, a nice picture there So, you know, every time I would get it done and would keep coming back positive over the years, it was just very frustrating. You know, I thought instead of annual class pictures, I guess they do annual parasite pictures. So it was pretty depressing. It was very frustrating, couldn't get rid of it. So finally I broke down and went to an MD and got them to prescribe the medication that the CDC possibly recommends. I say possibly because the medical profession, you know, the CDC, they kind of looked at blasto like a yeast-like compound like Candida, you know, that it may or may not cause problems. You don't really have to treat it. So it was very controversial. But so I got the medical officer to prescribe the medications, you know, antibiotics, antiprotozoan, things like that. You know, and it was very hard for me because, you know, here I am to natural health and I had to use a prescription medication for the first time in many years. So I took that for a while and got retested, and that didn't even work. And in the literature, it says that medication often doesn't work as well. So it was very frustrating. So finally, I found a combination of things that did work. And ultimately, I was able to get rid of it. Here's finally, after all these positive tests, there's my first negative test there. And actually, yes, first negative one. These are all the negative ones since then. I've gotten tested multiple times. I've had over 20 stool tests over the years. So the last 10 years, or last 10 years, a little over 10 years now, everyone's come back negative. So I'm going to share with you how I was able to get rid of it, and then also help many other patients since then. So coincidentally, once I got rid of the blasto, and at the same time, by the way, cleared up the yeast and the bacterial overgrowth, my thyroid antibodies went down to normal, like completely normal. Hashimoto's was cleared up, and since then they've been normal. And rheumatoid arthritis antibodies I had, since then they've been completely normal levels, and this is over 10 years now. So, and there's also reports in the literature of Blastocystis inducing Hashimoto's and all that. So anyway, I thought that was really interesting that, again, autoimmune conditions and most all chronic health conditions for that matter are caused by typically either you know, deficiencies, toxins, infections like parasites, yeast, bacteria, or food reactions. So how did I get rid of it? So first, we're going to talk about diet. So parasites, yeast, they love sugar, carbs, yeast in your diet. So if you want to get rid of this stuff, you have to change your diet. You have to get rid of not only the gluten like I started to do, but didn't work because I was eating rice and rice protein, which I remember this detox shake, you know, it was rice protein and rice syrup it was sweetened with. I mean, and I was eating a ton of rice with vegetables for lunch, and like I said, all these gluten-free products that were like gluten-free cookies and bread and pasta and all this stuff. That's not what you want to do. Parasites love sugar, yeast. So I ultimately came up with, since gluten-free didn't work, what I call the free diet, which is not only free of gluten, but gluten, grain, sugar, yeast, legumes, soy, dairy. So, and actually, I'm going to give you a copy of that, phase 1, and the link we'll put that in a little bit below for you. So diet is so important. You need to starve the bugs, okay? You can't, whether you take prescription or natural stuff, if you're still feeding and pouring gasoline on the fire, you're not going to get rid of it. So the free diet was one thing. 2, the products I used. So you have to strengthen the terrain, make your gut uninhabitable to parasites and yeast and bacteria. I had all 3. So you want to address all of these, like as far as testing. So I do recommend, if you're having issues, either autoimmune, thyroid issues, any autoimmune, or any digestive issues, skin, that you do get stool testing. And I like to do these comprehensive stool tests, not just test for parasites, but check to see, oftentimes you have co-infections of yeast and bacteria at the same time, and other like leaky gut, things like that. So it's important to address all of these to strengthen your intestinal environment so that the parasites, it's uninhabitable, they don't even want to live there. So you do that by, well, probiotics are so important. We use a product called Probiotic Supreme, and Saccharomyces boulardii is another probiotic that's really helpful for, say, blasto and other parasites and yeast. A product I use called Yeast Defeat as well. So that has different herbs in it to help kill off excess yeast fungus in your system, and as compounds effective against blasto. Berbamycin, so that's a berberine type product, an herbal remedy which helps kill off excess bacterial overgrowth, and is shown to be effective against blasto as well. And then this one thing that really helped so much, it was this amoeba homeopathic remedy. And at that time, I wasn't all that familiar with homeopathics, didn't really see how they could even work, because they seem to be, they was a whole different principle. So I took this homeopathic remedy, which then strengthens your immune system to kill off the blasto. And that when I combined those four together, along with the diet, when I retested, finally I got a negative results, for the first time there. And the yeast, everything was cleared up. So that was amazing, and now it's been 10 years, and it took 10 years to even get to that point of trial and error and misery, and then finally I was able to get rid of it, and it's been over 10 years now. So I'm thrilled about that, and again, I've been able to then share that, what I learned, with many other patients, and I've been able to get better since then. So if you have any questions, comments, feel free to leave them below. Subscribe to my YouTube channel if you want early notification of new videos, and feel free to share this with someone you know who's having any digestive, autoimmune, thyroid, skin issues, and look forward to seeing you next time. So thanks very much for joining me. Take care.